and welcome back to Casual Climbers, the podcast by and for beginning hikers. I'm your host, Donna Padrick, and alongside me is my husband and adventure buddy, Roy.
Good morning.
Good morning.
So in this podcast, we provide you with tips, tricks, and reviews of some of the many hiking trails in the Blue Ridge area. And at least for the next several weeks, the greater Appalachian Mountains region. Now, we may be unfit hikers, but we do love the outdoors, and we want to share our experiences with you. So in today's full episode, we head west to Virginia and discuss two trails in Natural Tunnel State Park, the Tunnel Hill and Carter Log Cabin Trail and Lover's Leap Trail. We also have a fun fact about Jemima Boone, Daniel Boone's daughter, and a review of a great community pizza place nearby. What do you say, Donna? Ready to get started?
Let's go.
So we're covering two separate trails in the same area today, Donna. So let's go over the first one by the numbers first. The Tunnel Hill and Carter Log Cabin Trail is 1.25 miles there and back. Now, the time it took us was 55 minutes. Of that, 43 minutes was actual moving time. The lowest point is 1,276 feet, and the highest point is 1,596 feet. So it's about a 320-foot elevation change. Friendliness, pets are allowed, but it is not mobility friendly because of the stairs.
Yeah. We, in fact, encountered a man at the top of those stairs that was telling his wife to go on.
Go on ahead.
Just
I will wait up here and not fight the stairs.
Yeah.
So first of all, to get there, search for Natural Tunnel State Park Visitor Center in your map app. And this is going to be in Duffield, Virginia. There is a very large parking area there with bathrooms, a visitor center, and interestingly enough, there's actually a chairlift that operates on weekends, April through October, that will take you from the parking area right down to Tunnel Hill.
In that case, maybe it is a bit mobility issue. I mean, like, if you have mobility issues and you can ride that chairlift down, heck yeah.
Yeah, but you're not going to get a mobility scooter or a wheelchair on that.
No.
But it's basically like a ski lift is basically what this is. So you're going to have to be able to get up into the seat and get down.
Yeah. But if you only need a walking stick or a hiking pole to get
around. Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely.
You're bypassing all those stairs.
Yes. Yeah. So this particular trail is not a traditional hiking trail, right? It's not overly secluded because it goes right from the main parking area down to this amazing tunnel that we're going to talk about in a second. So it's not a traditional hiking trail. It's more of going from the parking area to the point of interest that is about 3/4 of a mile.
Yeah, but it's not like there's not awesomeness between the parking lot and the point of interest. I mean, you've got these big, beautiful trees, and we went in October.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
Yeah,
it's absolutely gorgeous.
Yeah, so you are in the forest when you're hiking. It's not like you're walking. I mean, it's kind of, it's steps. It's a lot of steps. So
a lot of steps.
And handrails and stuff like that. So yeah, you're right. It's not, you're right. It's not a dirt path and, it's wooden steps with wooden handrails.
Yeah, it starts out as a dirt and gravel trail. And then once you get down to the bottom, it's a boardwalked path across the railroad tracks and to a different viewing area of the tunnel. So let me tell the listeners a little bit about the Natural Tunnel. So this is a natural hole through a mountain that is up to 200 feet wide and 80 feet high. And it began to form more than 1 million years ago when groundwater bearing carbonic acid and percolated through the crevices and eventually slowly dissolved the limestone and dolomite bedrock. So there's a small river now called Stock Creek that was diverted underground, and it continued to cause the erosion over many, many thousands of years. And you can see that the walls of the tunnel actually show evidence of prehistoric life. They found tons of fossils in the creek bed and in the tunnel walls itself. So the Natural Tunnel has been a Virginian tourist attraction for more than a century. Daniel Boone is reputed to have been the first European to see it in the 18th century. The 45th United States Secretary of State, William Jennings Bryan, dubbed it the eighth wonder of the world. And currently, the South Atlantic and Ohio Railroad constructed tracks through the Natural Tunnel in 1893. And today, that line is still open but it's only operated by Norfolk Southern and is used for coal transportation.
Oh, yeah, that's kind of a shame. I would love to ride a train through the natural tunnel.
Wouldn't that be great?
But I will
it'd be
say
great.
that when you hike this trail, when you walk this path, there's a sign when you walk across the railroad tracks, basically saying, "Don't be dumb. Don't stand on the tracks." You know, this is active.
There's nothing actually stopping you from walking on the tracks. There's no guardrail or anything. You can literally just walk right across.
Right, because you're walking across the tracks to go get to the landing to really have another view of the natural tunnel.
Yeah. The tunnel itself is really spectacular because when you think of typical railroad tunnels from the 19th century, they were primarily blown up through dynamite and pickaxes, right? That's how they were formed. But this one was already there, already big enough for trains. So I imagine the people that first built the train routes was like, we're going to go through there because it's already built.
Yeah. Yeah. No need to blow anything up. It's already been done.
And I think what's particularly neat about this trail that most people don't talk about when they talk about the Tunnel Hill or Natural Tunnel State Park or the Natural Tunnel Trail itself, the massive cliff that's to the left of the tunnel. It goes huge, and that is Lover's Leap. And we're going to talk about that in our next trail notes here coming up in a few minutes. But
it is so big. It makes you feel small.
Huge. It's amazing.
And when we were there, the wind was blowing and the leaves were coming down in this vortex of fall leaves that were blowing around in this huge giant circle. I got a little bit of video of that, and I think you got some.
I got some slow-mo video of the leaves going around. Yeah, I mean, no, the video's not going to do it justice because you're in this big. It's almost like you're surrounded at least on 2.5, 3 sides by the mountain, right? And the sheer cliff that goes straight up. And then there's several trees down below that are bursting with fall color. And then the leaves are starting to fall off. So as the wind swirls in this, through the tunnel and along the sheer cliffs, it just swirls all those leaves around. It was really something. It was something to behold.
Yeah, I was really surprised at how many leaves were on the trees. What was this? Oh, it was October 23rd.
October 23rd. Yep.
Yeah. Yeah, and we're recording this November 9th, so we're accessing our memory banks. But I was amazed at how many colorful leaves were still on the trees with as many leaves that were falling. Fall is really just a magical time of year.
It is. I agree. And it does seem late to have a lot of leaves on the tree, but I mean,
I'll take it.
They were there.
Yeah.
They absolutely were there. And so when you get down to the natural tunnel, there's kind of a T, right? If you go left, it's going to take you further, like right to the mouth of the natural tunnel. And if you go right, you can go to the Carter log cabin.
You're talking about when we're driving or when we're
when
hiking?
You walk down to the bottom.
Okay.
There's a T.
Yeah. The Carter log cabin. I remember that.
Yeah. So as you walk down and you wind your way down the mountain to the bottom, there is the T. You go left, you see the tunnel. You go right, you go to the Carter Log Cabin Trail.
Got it.
And it's not that far. The Carter Log Cabin Trail is maybe 200 yards.
It's a nice little walk. I mean, and there's no real elevation change that I remember.
Not from there, no.
No, from the natural tunnel to Carter Log Cabin.
Yeah, it's pretty flat from that point on. But this log cabin was built in 1784.
Yeah.
And it's a single room log cabin. And you can walk inside it. You and I both went inside. And it's clear they had benches inside and a podium up front. It's clear they do some kind of
presentation, historic education kind of thing. But I will say this, if you have any height on you at all, you might want to duck your head when you go into that cabin.
It is much smaller than one would think.
Yeah. Shorter. Yeah. I mean, I don't know.
I would live in it though.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's a nice, beautiful creek, that Stone Creek that we mentioned earlier runs right next to it.
I think you can see the cliff over the natural tunnel from I have a picture. I'll show it to you and I'll put it on the website. But
so you can see Lover's Leap Cliff.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, I mean, gosh, it's Lover's Leap Cliff is, I don't know how high it is, several hundred feet.
Yeah.
High.
I think you see it right behind.
Yep, you see it right behind it. And Donna will put all these pictures on our Instagram page.
Yeah. So it's pretty. It's just an incredible thing to
Yeah,
to see.
so this one trail, you get a mountain creek. Always love those.
Mm-hmm.
You get
Did they call them cricks?
probably up there they do. Yeah. You get a natural wonder of the world in a natural tunnel. You get a sheer mountain cliff that goes several hundred feet up, and you get a historical log cabin from 1784. Only thing missing was a waterfall, and this would have been the perfect trail,
Yeah.
given how short it is too. It's pretty great, but the toughest part is climbing up.
Right. Now, when you mentioned the chairlift at the beginning of the podcast, here's what I'd like to do. I'd like to hike down the stairs and hike to the natural tunnel and the Carter cabin and then ride the chairlift back up. That would be to me the ultimate cheat code
That'd be
for
great.
this.
Yeah, it would be.
Yeah.
It would be because you get to walk through the trail
Mm-hmm.
and then ride it
Although
back
if
up.
you ride the chairlift down and back up, you're seeing. I mean, if you do it in the fall, you're seeing the beautiful trees, the beautiful colors.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I wouldn't begrudge anybody riding it
Yeah.
down. Yeah. Anybody. So there are 174 steps going up.
Which is not nothing.
It is not nothing. 174 steps going 320 feet up. It's significant. So if you have issues with stairs, especially a lot of them,
It did have benches, though.
it did. It had some benches along the
I
way.
think we forgot to count the benches, but there was, I feel like, a significant amount of benches. I think there were probably like 5,
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. We didn't count them.
but there were.
The trail kind of snakes, goes back and forth down the mountain, so it's not just a straight down walk, but yeah, it's fairly short, about half a mile to get from the parking lot to the bottom of Natural Tunnel.
Mhm.
So it's not too bad, but yeah, it's a significant climb back up. And the chairlifts weren't running when you and I did it because it was during the week.
Mhm.
But I would like to go there maybe back in the fall again, but on a weekend to take the chairlift. I bet it's beautiful.
I'll bet it's beautiful, but I'll bet it's crowded.
Oh, I would think so. Yeah.
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 So, I mean, when we were there was more people than we normally encounter, but we definitely felt like we had Carter Cabin to ourselves. We had our moment looking at the natural tunnel to ourselves.
We did. Yeah. There was
people.
very few people there when we went. It was on a Wednesday that we went.
Yeah, I think you're right about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, did you see the plaque at the Carter Cabin?
I did. Yeah.
Yeah.
So it says donated to the Commonwealth of Virginia by the descendants of Mosby J. Carter, originally constructed 1784.
Yeah.
Donated to the Natural Tunnel State Park in 1996.
That's kind of cool.
It's a very cool little log cabin. I always find it super fascinating to see these things and get a sense of how the people lived.
Yeah.
And I'm totally jealous of that man living next to a beautiful creek and the natural tunnel. Can you imagine what that was like before railroads moved in?
Okay, but there was no electricity. There was no indoor plumbing.
That's okay.
Is it?
Yeah.
Okay.
And 100%, I'd be okay with that. I mean, they didn't have that anywhere else back then either.
That's true.
So it's not like he was out there doing this when everybody else had the natural comforts. He just had this great little spot in the middle of nowhere.
So, but like, even if you start to plant a garden and stuff, if you have a berry bush or whatever, you've got to compete with the bears that are like, hey, this is our turf.
That's true. But I'm sure you'd have a rifle
Yeah.
or a couple.
So I'm not, I mean, while it's a beautiful place and I'm happy to have hiked to it, I don't know how jealous I am of how they must have lived.
No, I'm totally jealous.
Okay. All right.
So how would you rate this one? I think
Just
it goes to
because-
feel the burn on the way
Yeah,
down.
just because of the stairs up. Yeah. Going down is not a problem at all for me. Going down all those steps, I don't know, gravity's helping me or whatever. But I just, again, why can't they have an escalator? Or like,
They had a chairlift.
yeah, they did have a chairlift. That is
so
true.
they heard your cries for help.
Well, or somebody, kinship, somebody like me
Yeah.
made that suggestion and they were like, yeah, okay.
Yeah. So the second trail that's totally part of this whole area is the Lover's Leap Overlook Trail. And so basically, the part that we were talking about, that sheer mountain cliff that's called Lover's Leap, this trail takes you up to the top of the mountain so you can see it from up instead of from down.
Now, I want to qualify. We are still, what do we call ourselves? We call ourselves unfit hikers.
Yeah.
So we are unfit hikers. So when we were at the bottom looking at the natural tunnel and you pointed to the top of that cliff that was 1,000,000 miles up and you said, that's where we're going to go next. And I looked at you like, maybe you're going to go there next. But I don't know about me, because even walking 175 stairs up, you're not even remotely close to the top of that cliff.
No,
right?
Not even close. No.
So we got in our Jeep and we drove.
The trail access is kind of around the corner on the other side of the mountain.
Around the corner and up.
Yeah. So let's talk about Lover's Leap Overlook Trail by the numbers. It's 0.65 miles there and back. So it's short. It's very short. It's only, 0.38 miles one way.
Mm-hmm.
It only took us 26 minutes. And of that, 20 minutes was moving time. 6 minutes was awe time. Yeah. The lowest point is 1,664 feet and the highest point is 1,858. So that's 194 feet of elevation change. Pets are allowed, but it is not mobility friendly.
Yeah, and it's also, I believe I got a picture of a sign there that said bikes are not allowed on this trail.
Yes. Yeah. So to get there, you want to search for Cove View Campground in your map app, and that's in Duffield, Virginia. Now, parking for this trailhead is going to be tough for anybody.
It's interesting, right? And honestly, I'm not 100% sure that so you have to go up to the campground at the top.
Right. And the trailhead starts right behind the camp store, but there's only 3 parking spots at the camp store. And I'm sure they don't want you
parking there to hike that. I think, I almost wonder, is this hiking trail meant for campers?
So there is overflow parking.
Like not campers, but people that are camping.
Yeah. No, I know what you mean. Yeah. I don't know that it's exclusively for them. There is campground overflow parking about 250 yards away.
Yeah, wasn't that like a playground, a campground?
Yeah,
playground?
There was a playground right there.
Yeah.
So there was about 20 spaces maybe.
Yeah, so that's probably where you're supposed
going to want
to
park. Yeah.
But the camp store for us, it was closed.
It was closed.
So there was nobody there, so we just parked there, which hopefully we're not in trouble for that.
I mean, when we were coming out, there was 2 other cars already there going to the same spot we were going to.
Oh, okay. So, okay. All right.
So if we're in trouble, I'm going to rat them out too.
Oh, okay. All right. I feel better about that.
So this is a really short hike, but we wanted to cover this one with the other one because it takes you to the same views.
Well,
you're at the top.
Yeah.
Right? And so now
you're looking down on the. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, that's okay.
So yeah, but we got the overlook, looking down on that massive wall of rock with colorful trees at the top of it. And I got some pictures. I got some pictures from below and I got some pictures from above. So I'll put them all on Instagram.
So yeah, you're basically looking straight out at the sheer cliff. And then if you look down, you'll see the entrance to Natural Tunnel. Mm-hmm. So we were basically looking at exactly where we were standing 20 minutes earlier. Or half an hour earlier.
Yeah. I will say that the only thing that was even remotely challenging about this trail was the fact that I had just walked up 175 stairs from the previous trail. So I'm not going to fault this trail for that.
No, it wasn't too bad.
No.
I mean, 200 feet elevation change isn't that bad.
No.
It wasn't bad. So it gives you a stunning overview or overlook of the sheer cliff of Lover's Leap and of the Natural Tunnel. And I wanted to tell you a little bit about the legend as to why they call it Lover's Leap. Do you want to hear it?
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So legends tells of a Cherokee maiden and a Shawnee warrior, 2 tribes who were competing for resources in that area, who had been forbidden to marry by their respective tribes. These 2 jumped to their deaths from the highest pinnacle above the Natural Tunnel, which you and I saw. It's really high.
Yeah.
There's no way you're not dying. if you jump from
Yeah,
this.
I like the blowing rock story better, where
It's
they
better.
get blown.
Yeah,
back
it doesn't
up.
have a tragic ending. So yeah, in the myth,
Are you gonna
they
leave
die.
me here, like with this feeling of like, oh my god, that's awful.
That's the end of the legend.
That's awful.
I I don't know what to tell
Why?
you.
Why would you tell me that story, Roy?
I figured our readers would want to know why it's called Lover's Leap.
Okay, all right.
Because legend tells of a Cherokee woman and a Shawnee man who
Couldn't
were
get.
forbidden to marry by their respective tribes and just said, you know what, we'll live our afterlife together.
Maybe we should have like had a disclaimer or something before you said that.
Like a trigger warning.
Yeah.
We're not going to do that.
Okay.
So how would you rate this?
I would.
Piece of cake, break a sweat, feel the burn, pain bringer.
It's definitely not. It's definitely not Painbringer. And I think it's basically a piece of cake, except
I
that
think it breaks into break a sweat.
you think so?
Barely. Yeah.
Why? What are your qualifiers?
Just the going back up.
Yeah, you do go back up.
Yeah,
a
but
bit.
I think honestly, had we not done the stairs before, it might
That's
not have
what
been.
I'm saying.
It might have been a piece of cake
That
because our legs
170
were tired.
Yes, our bodies we are unfit hikers.
Yeah, but we do pretty well.
We do pretty.
We do
yes,
pretty well.
we do it for our listeners.
We totally do. So, would you recommend these two trails? Donna?
I would 100%.
100%.
Yeah.
100%. I recommend them. Yep. So be sure to check out Natural Tunnel and Carter's Log Cabin Trail. And while you're there, go ahead and head up the mountain and drive to the top and get to Lover's Leap Overlook Trail there at Natural Tunnel State Park in Virginia.
So this story was taken from the Kentucky Museum at kentucky-museum.org. In 1775, Daniel Boone decided to move his family, including his 13-year-old daughter Jemima, to Kentucky to live at the new settlement of Boonesboro in what is now Madison County. She and her mother, Rebecca, were part of a new era in the frontier. They marked the shift to families settling in Kentucky. Previously thought off limits, the American Revolution had disregarded all British treaties with tribes and hence opened up land beyond the Appalachians. That's why Kentucky was considered west.
Yep.
The arrival of families like the Boones marked this shift. Jemima's story also reveals the dangers girls and women faced in settling the new territory.
I can't help but think of syrup every time you say this woman's name.
I wasn't thinking that at all, but now I'm gonna. Thank you very much.
Now I want pancakes.
Okay, whatever. 2 years after settling, Jemima was canoeing with two of her friends, Elizabeth and Frances Calloway, on the Kentucky River. The girls were overtaken by a Cherokee and Shawnee raiding party, captured and forced to march north towards Shawnee villages. Kidnappings like this were common. It was an indigenous practice of many eastern tribes to replace dead relatives. It was also used as a tactic to scare white settlers, but primarily the Shawnee and Cherokee probably intended for the girls to become part of their tribe. This was common throughout the frontier regions. So, in a sense, I guess, white people killing Native Americans, it was our fault that they needed more people to replace their dead relatives.
I mean, I guess, but they were also warring among themselves.
That's true, and they were probably taking from...
I'm sure.
I mean, I don't think that this is something that just started with...
I wouldn't think so.
It only just became...
It just got worse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, it was worse because white people just, we tend to make a big deal out of things like being kidnapped.
Yeah, I don't know why. It's a character flaw. It's a character flaw.
We complain a lot.
Yeah. Whiny.
Between 1675 and 1763, over 1,600 whites in New England were kidnapped by Native Americans for this purpose.
That is a lot.
That's a lot.
That is a lot of people.
Yeah. Apparently they weren't complaining enough, I guess.
Or to the right people.
Yeah. Maybe that's what it
If they just told the natives, hey, we don't really like being kidnapped.
Yeah.
They probably would have been like, oh, you guys aren't fans? Our bad.
And countless more across other regions of the colonies. So, since Native Americans warred to gain control over people, not necessarily territory, the capture of new tribal members was important to enforcing control and repopulating a tribe after warfare. Children, especially young girls, brought cultural value, serving in customs like mourning wars. And that's not mourning like good morning. It's mourning like mourning. It's like I'm sad about something.
Mm-hmm.
So this is where adoption of captives restored the community after war. These captives were treated like tribal members, though forced to stay with the tribe and carefully monitored. The goal was eventually to assimilate them into the tribe as full members.
It's actually kind of interesting, right?
Yeah.
So they're not kidnapping these people to torture them or murder them
Or enslave them.
They're kind of just kidnapping them to replenish their own ranks.
Yeah. Yeah, it is interesting. I mean, of course.
Kidnapping is never good.
Yeah.
But this might be a decent reason. I kind of get it, but obviously it's against their will, right? These girls they didn't want to be kidnapped.
Right.
But if you're going to get kidnapped by people.
Yeah, maybe these are the ones. I don't know.
Yeah.
But this was likely the intent for Jemima, Elizabeth, and Frances. Shawnee cultural traditions highly valued women as producers, and women's deaths during war disrupted agriculture and food preparation and eliminated voices of peace that occasionally moderated the war cries of grieving fathers, husbands, and sons. So they listened.
So women were. It's funny how that was written. Moderated the war cries of
grieving fathers, husbands, and sons.
So basically, the women were the voices of reason, and they needed more voices of reason. That's kind of enlightening, honestly.
It is. So, the males would be all, grr, I'm angry that you killed my, relative. And the woman would be like, get over it.
Oh, okay.
Like, just, peace, man. Or whatever. I don't know. I'm making the women.
We got a whole backstory
hippies.
Going here. Yeah.
All right. Anyway, to lose a woman was highly detrimental. So white captive girls were likely seen as a means of replacing this valuable labor and restoring balance to the tribe. During her captivity, Jemima herself said the natives treated her well. This is what she said. The Indians were kind to us, as much so as well they could have been or circumstances permitted.
It's interesting that
she defended her captors.
Yeah.
Like she said, they were as nice as they could have been. I mean,
could have been worse.
Yeah. So I kind of wonder what that looked like, but I'm thinking that means that they didn't necessarily want to rough them up or hurt them
by all accounts, it doesn't sound like they were hurt at all.
I mean, unless they tried to get away or struggled or whatever. So, Jemima was not destined to assimilate, though. Upon being discovered missing, the girls' fathers, so the 3 girls' fathers, and other men of the settlement formed a rescue party. Despite a few days' journey separating them, the rescue party found the girls with their captors. So
that's impressive.
Yeah, that is. Yeah. And
that big land and however many villages there were, it had to be a lot of Shawnee and Cherokee villages. And they found the right one.
They were out on a canoe when they got captured, too. So they were on like, what side of the river?
Yeah. How far down did they get? Yeah, I mean, there's a ton of variables there.
Yeah, so it is impressive. So the third morning, as the Indians were building a fire for breakfast, the rescuers came up. As one captor shot, Jemima said, "That's Daddy's gun." That's so funny to me that she recognized her dad's gun.
I mean, the guns were all the same back then mostly, but she recognized her dad's.
I mean, could she have? I mean, I don't know.
Sure, probably. Yeah.
He was not immediately killed. So the captor was not immediately killed. 2 of the wounded native men later died. The captors retreated, leaving the girls to be taken home by the settlers. I kind of wonder if Daniel Boone purposely did a not killing shot. If he was like, I don't really want to kill them.
I would seriously doubt it. If somebody had taken my daughter.
Yeah, but the whole politics surrounding all of this. But the white men are taking the Native Americans' lands. Maybe you understand why they're doing what they're doing. Maybe you see that your daughter has not been harmed. You're just trying to get her back.
I guess it's possible, but I doubt it.
Yeah.
I mean, you don't want to run the risk of leaving a combatant on the field.
Yeah, that's a way to look at it. But how many Native Americans were there surrounding these girls? And
at least 3, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay, so Jemima, Elizabeth, and Frances were returned to Boonesboro, but how did the rescuers find the girls?
I asked that exact question.
You're going to get that exact answer.
All right. No need to get snippy with me.
I'm not getting snippy.
Yeah, a little bit.
Okay, whatever. Get over it. Jemima's own knowledge of frontier ways. Jemima, Elizabeth, and Frances used their knowledge to bend branches, break off twigs, and leave behind leaves and berries, methods used frequently on the frontier and recognized by those who knew it as a trail to lead the rescuers to them.
So they left a trail of breadcrumbs.
Yes, and
That is so smart for a 13-year-old girl.
yes, well, survival, right? So when I first read this, I was like, berries, like wildlife would eat the berries. But then I thought about how you and I were hiking that week in Kentucky, and I came across this bush with red berries that it was full. They were not edible berries. So I'm wondering if those are like wildlife would not eat them.
Yeah, I'm sure, because there's
And they
a
were
ton
bright
of
red.
There's a ton of most red berries you can't eat. So, especially in that area, they got holly and all different kinds of other stuff that you can't eat. So, yeah,
Because if you just put like edible berries on the path, then
a raccoon's gonna come by or
for
some
sure
squirrel.
they're going to be like,
Yeah, they're gonna want to go after it.
mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So, yeah, they led the rescuers to them. So her story does not end there. Upon their return, Jemima, Elizabeth, and Frances were a sight to see because now they kind of looked like Shawnee. During their 3 days, the raiding party had cut their clothes to the knees, removed their shoes and stockings, and given them moccasins to wear. What we might see as small changes were drastic for the Boonesboro settlers. The girls were also traumatized, though the extent of the trauma remains unknown.
Yeah, I mean, it's a traumatic experience getting kidnapped because you don't know what's going to happen to you. Right?
Yeah,
Now, thankfully, the girls were unharmed and treated fairly well according to their own accounts, but still, you didn't know that
for sure.
going in. And having their dresses cut to their knees, scandalous.
Yeah, you saw ankle and knee.
Ankle and knee and shin? That's a lot. That's a lot.
Yeah. Jemima's story of captivity is brief, especially when compared to other white captives such as Mary Jemison, a more famous story for Mary's decision to remain with her adopted tribal family.
So I don't know if you know the story of Mary Jemison, but there's this famous picture of a white woman who has tattoo right below her mouth of 3 lines
Yeah,
that go down. That's her.
they represented that in a modern day show. What was that show? Oh man, there was an actress that had. I mean, her character. Do you know what I'm talking about?
I do. Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
Not Justified. The guy that played in Justified played in this.
Yeah,
show.
It'll come to us.
Yeah, whatever. Okay, so yeah, that story was immortalized in romanticized notions of frontier life, including inspiring James Fenimore Cooper's The Last of the Mohicans in 1826 and various historical paintings depicting Jemima's ordeal.
So Jemima Boone is the inspiration for Fenimore Cooper's The Last of the Mohicans.
Mm-hmm.
That is fascinating.
It is, isn't it?
That is so fascinating.
Yeah. Like many girls of the frontier, this is where Jemima's fame traditionally ends. Within a year, she and the other girls had married. Jemima later relocated to Missouri with her father, or so the story goes. But Craig Thompson, friend writing in Kentucky Women, Their Life and Times, recounts another episode not as widely known. In 1778, 2 years after her captivity and around the time of her marriage, Jemima participated in...
Wait, did you say 2 years after?
So, yeah.
So she's very young.
Yeah, she was 13 when she got kidnapped, and within a year, she and the other girls had married. So, 14.
Wow.
Yeah. I mean, you don't want to become an old maid.
I guess not. I guess, yeah, you're 17 and you're basically...
Yeah, I mean, what are you doing with your life?
Spinster.
Yeah. So Craig Thompson Friend wrote in Kentucky Women. It's a magazine, I think. Their Life and Times recounts another episode not as widely known. In 1778, 2 years after her captivity and around the time of her marriage, Jemima... Okay, so 2 years after, around the time of her marriage, so I guess she got married maybe at 15. I thought she was 14.
She was 14.
Okay. Okay. I mean,
dates were a little fluid going that far back.
Yeah. So she participated in protecting Boonesboro from attack. Now 16, Jemima joined other women in the fort by donning men's hats and clothing to help make the fort appear as if it was more protected than it actually was against native raiders.
So women
Dressed up like men.
to make it look like there were more men defending the fort.
Yeah, and I'm sure that
That's impressive.
Yeah, I'm sure they had their own rifles, which I'm sure women knew how to use anyway.
I would have to. Yeah. I mean, if you were kidnapped by natives, wouldn't you want to learn how to use a rifle?
Yeah, and
right after? Yeah.
Before, during, and after.
Yeah.
In September 1778, only the occasional fallen lock of hair or fuller bosom hinted that the settlers within the fort were not just men.
Wait, that dude's got nice stuff up top. What's going on there?
Well, okay.
I'm feeling weird stuff.
Okay, but here's my question. Like, these women, there was no birth control back then. These women spent a lot of their time pregnant too. So what happens when you got a swollen, like this is talking about.
I guess it just looks like a beer gut.
Oh, hey.
I guess. I mean, I don't know how many beer guts were popular on the frontier back then, but.
Maybe. That's.
I don't know. Either way, good for all those women, Jemima included.
Yeah. Yep. So the tactic, along with faulty intelligence from the British governor, helped create an illusion of a strong fighting force to oppose Shawnee Chief Blackfish and his 400 men.
So Shawnee Chief, named Blackfish, had 400 men.
Yeah.
And were constantly poking at this fort.
Yeah.
And so these women stood on the ramparts and basically gave the illusion that there were a lot more defending men there. So that's impressive.
Yes, it is. But think about this. Like, I think that this was a beginning to women discovering that pants just work better.
Yeah, way more practical.
Yeah. Especially if you have to,
climb up a ladder or go upstairs. Yeah, sure.
Yeah. Also, you're less likely to. The bottom of a pair of pants is way less likely to catch on fire from a fireplace than the bottom of a skirt that's kind of out there. I would think
so. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's just
as long as they took them off as soon as they got off watch and put that dress back on. Let's be proper here.
I don't think that happened. I mean, I think if they were probably like, listen, you want me to do this job? I'm gonna be wearing pants while I'm cooking too. So you're just gonna have to suck it up.
I'm not a fan of that. Fan of that at all.
I'm just picturing some of the women saying, you wear the dress. You wear the dress. You put it on.
Probably.
You put it on with the corset and everything, although they probably didn't have corsets. But yeah, anyway, went down a little rabbit hole there. Yeah, so the British intelligence helped with that. And legend states that at one point, the Shawnees demanded to see Boone's daughters. And Jemima went with two other women outside the fort. She's dressed like a man at this point. She takes off her cap and her hair comb to let her hair flow freely. According to settler accounts, the Shawnee laughed and left.
That's so great.
Yeah.
Send out the daughters, and this dude comes walking out and takes his hat off, and she's got beautiful flowing hair. And they just were like, oh, okay, you got us.
Yeah.
And walked away.
Yep.
That's pretty good.
Jemima married Flanders Calloway, brother of the girls she was captured with. This says a few months after her capture.
Okay.
Accounts indicate that they married in late 1776 or early 1777. So like you said, dates were fluid. In the state, how do you celebrate that anniversary though?
I'm sure they knew it.
Okay, all right.
Just we don't 300 years later.
All right.
200 and change. Yeah.
Inquiring minds want to know.
Yeah.
In the state of Kentucky, at the time of their marriage, Jemima was 14 and Flanders was 24. Okay, so
Okay, I'm
14 and 24.
It's a little greasy. Not a huge fan of that age difference, but it was a different time. It was a different time.
It was, and it sounds to me like Jemima was a very mature age 14.
I'm
given
sure.
that she's just sitting there calmly being kidnapped by the Shawnee, and here's a gunshot, and
now
she's like, "That's Daddy's gun."
Yep.
Yeah. Now she's I mean, this is not oh, I broke a nail kind of girl.
No,
this is not.
She's not a wilting flower. That's for sure.
Boone and Calloway had so this is Jemima Boone and Flanders Calloway. That just
it's a weird name. Yeah, it's a weird name.
I just feel like Jemima Boone sounds more masculine or something than Flanders Calloway. And I don't know. I'm not trying to make anything of this, but
I'm sure we're going to offend the Calloway family.
No, it's the Flanders that I can't get over.
Oh.
If there's a Flanders Calloway out there, then I'm sorry, but that's not a great name.
We should move on.
Okay. Maybe go by your middle name. Boone and Calloway had 19 children, some of whom were adopted.
19 kids. I don't care
19.
how many are adopted. That is a ton of children.
Yeah, which goes back to my former point. Like, she probably spent a lot of time with a swollen belly because of a baby being inside there.
Probably most of her adult life. Now,
I don't know.
It's unclear how many were
hers and
her
how
birth
many
children and how many were adopted.
But I think she at least had 9.
I think that's accurate.
Out of the 19.
She birthed 9 of them. Yeah.
I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is a ton of children.
Yeah. She died on August 30th, 1834 at the age of 71.
Good for her.
In Warren County, Missouri.
71.
71.
Which was
really old for that
very old
time.
back then. Yeah.
Yeah.
That is such a super interesting story.
That's not so old now. If our moms are listening, I just want them to know that
no,
is
not nowadays, but back then when everything was trying to kill you, it was a lot older.
Yeah.
Yeah. And they didn't have health care. You just put leeches on everything.
I don't know if they did. Okay, we're not going to go there.
No. But I mean, this is the woman that inspired the Last of the Mohicans.
Yes,
that's so incredible.
That's a pretty great takeaway.
Yeah, that's incredible. Thanks for that fun fact, Donna.
Yeah.
So today's review is about the Pizza Plus Pizza Shop right there in Duffield, Virginia, literally minutes from the entrance to the Natural Tunnel State Park. So the address is 6912 Pattonsville Road, Duffield, Virginia, 24244. The website is pizzaplus.inc. And let's talk a little bit about this. It's basically an intersection.
Mm-hmm.
There's not a lot there.
No.
Very little at all.
I think there was some fast food.
There was 2 fast food restaurants. Might have been a Bojangles or something and something else. But that's pretty much it. There's a couple local businesses, but that's pretty much it. And then there's this pizza shop.
Yeah, Pizza Plus.
And so you and I decided, hey, let's go into it. We typically don't eat carbs.
Yeah.
We try to avoid them.
But we had just hiked.
And we were getting ready to hike again.
Yeah.
So yeah, we wanted to try to
give us a
little bit of a
fuel.
treat. Right.
Yeah.
And so we stopped in this place, and thankfully on this day, it was a pizza buffet. Now, typically when you think of pizza buffet, you think of like
Cece's Pizza.
Yeah, exactly.
Which I used to like Cece's Pizza very much.
I used to like Cece's too. The last time I ate it was probably, 6 years ago.
Yeah.
And the quality wasn't great.
Well, because they're just getting it in, getting it out so fast, and everybody's just, shoving pizza in there.
Yeah, and the quality wasn't great. But this place
was different.
Was so good.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
it was a pizza buffet that worked.
Yeah, it really, so you get the buffet and a salad bar, so you could eat a salad there. And the salad bar was pretty well stocked.
Yeah.
I was pleasantly surprised.
And this is 11 o'clock, I think. It was like 11 o'clock on a Wednesday.
Yeah.
So they were just opening. And so that also impressed me that they had as much as they had for just, usually buffets at they're kind of like getting stuff out bit by bit.
Yeah. And one of the things that I really liked is when the server came up to us and she said, hey, would you like a specific pizza for the buffet?
Yeah.
That's really nice. Now, thankfully, they had already put out,
pepper.
They had a pepperoni, a cheese. They had cheese sticks, which were fantastic.
And then they had those like cinnamon.
They had those cinnamon apple ones. They were so good. And then they put out I guess it's a deluxe type pizza. It had all different toppings on
I'm
it.
gluten intolerant, and there are certain times when it's worth it to take that chance. And I have like glutenese pills and stuff like that that I can take, but usually I don't throw myself at gluten like I did that day. But if you are gluten intolerant or gluten, celiac or anything like that, you'd still have the option of the salad bar.
The salad bar, and the salad bar was good.
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty well stocked. Had everything that you'd need for a basic salad and some extras and cottage cheese. It was really good. And I think what most impressed me about this place is how affordable it was.
It was affordable. It was clean. The waitress was super friendly. She was this.
What they call her, Mimi? She said everybody called her Mimi.
Yeah, because she was like, kind of like a
grandmotherly figure.
Yeah.
Even though she wasn't that old.
No.
Yeah.
No, she wasn't.
Yeah, but I guess she said everybody calls me Mimi. It couldn't have been nicer.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so I think we spent like $12 for both of us to have the pizza buffet.
Really?
It was very cheap.
It was so cheap, but I
Yeah.
didn't think it was that cheap. Wow.
Yeah, it was cheap.
But we both drank water, I think, and
Mhm.
or I don't know, but it was very good.
Yeah, it was great. And they also do catering. You can order catering there by phone or through their website. And like I said, the best part of this is it's right outside Natural Tunnel State Park. It's minutes away. Minutes.
Yeah. And I just always I prefer to go to a restaurant that is more mom and pop, less fast food, because I just feel like when you have owners that appreciate their employees, that comes off as something that the customer can feel. When it's, when you go to a fast food restaurant, the food might be decent, but if the employees are underappreciated or underpaid, that comes across.
I agree. And one of the big things too that you and I do our very best to support local businesses because that money stays local.
Yeah.
Right? If you go to McDonald's or Burger King or Arby's or whatever, a lot of that money's going to their corporate headquarters.
For sure. Yeah.
So, yeah, if I'm given the choice between a Pizza Hut and this Pizza Plus, I'm going to go to the Pizza Plus every time.
Yeah.
Even if it's more expensive, which in this case it was not, even remotely.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we highly recommend it. Again, it's in 6912 Pattonsville Road in Duffield, Virginia. Be sure to say you heard us on Casual Climbers. We gave them a business card while we were there. She said she was going to put it up. So if you see us, just mention, if you go there, make sure you mention Casual Climbers and tell them we said hey.
Yeah.
So that's the episode this week, guys. Natural Tunnel and Carter Log Cabin Trail and Lover's Leap Overlook Trail. They're in Natural Tunnel State Park in Virginia. 2 wonderful trails. Both of them are fairly short. The Natural Tunnel and Carter Log Cabin is a strenuous way back up. But if you take the chairlift, then it's just a fun ride down and a fun ride up. And then the Natural Tunnel itself is just gorgeous. Lover's Leap Cliffs are gorgeous. And it's a really nice time all around.
Yep. Thanks so much for listening. Please like us and subscribe to us in whatever podcast app you use, and be sure to leave us a review because that's how our show grows. Feel free to check out our trail photos at casualclimbers.com or on Instagram at Casual Climbers Podcast. If you have a question, comment, or just want to drop us a line, you can reach us at casualclimberspodcast@gmail.com.
Donna, I am stuck on how amazing that Jemima Boone story really is.
Yeah.
To be 13 years old, and I mean, you would have thought you would be terrified being kidnapped, right? You have no idea what's going to happen to you. And she came out of it like, oh, they treated me pretty well.
Yeah.
I'm fine.
As good as can be expected.
And then she got married a year later and was posing as a man to help fend off native raids. That's so impressive.
In the end, taking care of 19 children.
Man,
she had a life.
that's such an impressive life. And oh, by the way, she's the inspiration for The Last of the Mohicans.
Mm-hmm.
Such an impressive story. Thanks for telling that. One thing we didn't get to, though, this time was gun noises.
Oh, yeah, no, we didn't.
We need to get more. We need more gun noises. I might work that into every episode.
I don't think you should.
We'll see you out on the trail.
See you on the trail.